Hey everyone, it's Flak. Every Call of Duty game has a meta for perks, and what I mean by that is there's always some combination of perks that are just simply too good to ignore. I've been a longtime fan of the cold-blooded and ghost combination with a suppressed weapon, but I do secretly miss the days of Modern Warfare 2's one-man army and danger close with noob tubes and RPGs just for the memes. Leave a like if you remember that. Regardless, Modern Warfare has a ton of different perks players can choose from. I've seen a lot of compelling combinations. Kill Chain and Pointman or Hardline can get you your kill streaks quickly. Or if you want to go full stealth, there's a great combination in Cold-Blooded, Ghost, and Tracker. However, a recent change to one of the game's on-the-bubble perks has really pushed it into the S-tier category. High Alert was one of those sleeper perks at launch. Depending on your playstyle and awareness, it could be incredibly useful, both in standard multiplayer and in Warzone. Now, if you're not familiar with the perk, using High Alert creates a pulse whenever an enemy sees you. It was really helpful with identifying when you were exposed, and if you were particularly aware of your surroundings, you could divine exactly where that enemy might be, based on your knowledge of the map and general player behaviors. Already, that makes it a really attractive option for the second perk tier, but I still remained partial to Ghost. However, after the most recent update and changes to the perk, you should really take a good, hard look at where High Alert can fit into your gameplay, both in multiplayer and Warzone, because it is now incredibly powerful. High Alert now does more than just pulse. It actually lights up your screen edges to tell you from which direction the enemy is eyeing you. Obviously, if it lights up from the left, the enemy is somewhere in that direction. The same goes for the right, and when the bottom of the screen lights up, someone is probably going for that finishing move. High Alert won't tell you if someone's lining you up from the front, which probably does taper some of its effectiveness. If that's the first you're hearing of those changes, I can't say I'm surprised. Infinity Ward made the changes to the perk and somehow managed to leave it out of the game's patch notes for the most recent update. So the question that then must be asked is, why would you choose High Alert over something like Ghost? While Ghost does prevent you from being spotted on the radar, these UAVs are only available part of the time. And if you have even remotely competent team members, someone, or yourself, will take it down with a rocket or call in a counter UAV. But if you're on the ground in Modern Warfare, you're vulnerable to gunfire constantly. High Alert is a lifesaver on maps with tight lanes and longer ranges. If you're like me, you want to get behind enemies, so you have to really pick and choose your battles. On many maps, there are only a few lanes, so knowing which ones are occupied can give you a leg up on enemies. One of the best ways to illustrate this effect is on Vacant. Now, this is a map with long lanes, and it's easy to get frustrated, especially when you turn a corner just to be shot in the face. With High Alert, you can actually use the perk to soft check these alleys. Now, I prefer sliding to make myself more difficult to hit, but if the screen lights up, there's an enemy watching that lane and you probably shouldn't go through that doorway. This kind of check can be done way quicker than manually peeking, and it's often more accurate since you're relying on the game's software and not your easily deceived eyes. It's also safer considering how easy it is to head glitch and wallbang someone trying to peek a corner. And of course, you're not only restricted to using this perk defensively either. One of my favorite ways to use High Alert is to actually bait enemies. After all, you know they've seen you, but they're not aware that you're aware of their presence. An enemy running who looks totally oblivious looks like an easy target, so use that to your advantage. It's incredibly rewarding. C4 and Claymores work great if you planned ahead, otherwise ducking behind an obstacle around a corner can typically bamboozle an enemy long enough for you to get the upper hand and take them out. Overall, High Alert is like eyes in the back of your head, and if you don't believe it, I want you to check out this clip. You can see the perk showcases quite a few people on my 6, and I just happened to get lucky enough to down those enemies. Keep in mind this is hardcore, but it still definitely saved my life multiple times. However, High Alert isn't entirely foolproof. Like many things in Call of Duty, there is a counter. The Cold-Blooded perk does more than just make you invisible to sentry guns, VTOL jets, and support helos. It also doesn't trigger High Alert when you're looking at an enemy who has that perk equipped. Some of the other testing I did reveals it also won't trigger through smoke, even if the enemy has a thermal scope equipped and has a clean bead on you. The good news, however, is that there are quite a few other attractive Tier 1 perks aside from Cold-Blooded that players have a tendency to choose, like Double Time, Scavenger, or Kill Chain, for example. This often depends on the kind of mode that you're playing, and I'd say players in hardcore modes are more likely to run Cold-Blooded, but that's just a guess. And even after all this, you might still be sitting there wondering why you'd ever give up Ghost for High Alert, and that's totally fine, I respect it. I regularly bounce between the two perks myself, depending on particular maps and how each individual match is progressing. But I'm also going to point out a bit of a secret way to get the best of both worlds. So, in Call of Duty Modern Warfare's loadout system, there's an obscure and easy-to-miss way to totally transform your playing experience. It's called Specialist, and it allows you to run up to 6 perks at once. And if that sounds completely overpowered, don't worry, there are some trade-offs to it, but if you want to keep both Ghost and High Alert, here's how to do it. From the loadout menu, select the loadout you want to edit, drop down to Perks, and select it. You'll notice next to the main icons, there's a little something that says Activate Specialist. Hit the associated button, and you can now select perks that will unlock after 2, 4, and 6 kills. And it still amazes me how few players actually know about Specialist, let alone use it, especially since some variation of it has been around since the days of Modern Warfare 3. And I mentioned earlier that Specialist does have some drawbacks, and perhaps the most significant is that you do sacrifice your ability to call in kill streaks, and that might be a bridge too far for some players. Personally, I don't mind focusing on gunplay rather than some of the gimmicky stuff, especially on the more objective-based game modes. You can, of course, still call in a nuke with a Specialist equipped, so it's not entirely without some kind of killstreak reward. Personally, I like selecting Cold-Blooded, Ghost, and Spotter for the first 3 perks. Sometimes I'll flip High Alert with Ghost, since most of the time I'll kill 2 enemies in a life and unlock the first bonus perk. At 4 kills, you're probably starting to run out of ammo, so Scavenger is a good bet, and finally I choose Tune-Up to help recharge field upgrades like Dead Silence. All in all, once you hit 6 kills, you're rolling over the battlefield with a serious advantage. However, if you die, it all resets, and of course you can't run Specialist in Warzone, so keep that in mind. I'm really curious, however, to hear your thoughts on High Alert. Have you used it since its big time buff? Tell me down below in the comments, what do you think? I'd also love to see your favorite perk combinations and why you like them, so tell me that below as well. If you don't already follow the channel on social media, take some time to make sure you get connected. I'm going to be giving away a Worker Bee microphone from Neat Microphones in a couple of weeks, and you won't want to miss your chance at some sweet audio gear. Links to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. are down in the video description, so let's keep the conversation going outside of YouTube. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If not, a dislike. And if you want to help support the channel, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell for the latest videos. If you found this one helpful, consider sharing with your friends. I've got some more Call of Duty and Battlefield videos in the works, so stay tuned. And as always, thanks for watching.